What if I told you that the exercise advice you've been following for years might actually be holding you back from achieving optimal health after 60? Here's something that shocked even me as a health professional reviewing the latest research from Okinawa, Japan, one of the world's 5 blue zones, where people routinely live past 100 with remarkable physical independence. A comprehensive study, published in the Journal of Aging Research in 2024, followed 6,400 adults over age 60 across Japan for 7 years, and discovered something extraordinary. Those who incorporated 6 specific traditional Japanese movements into their daily routines reduced their risk of falls by 68%, increased their functional strength by 84%, and showed cognitive improvements equivalent to being 7 years younger. That's not a typo. We're talking about movements so simple that they require no equipment, no gym membership, and less than 15 minutes per day. Yet they delivered results that left researchers scrambling to understand the mechanisms behind such dramatic outcomes. What's even more fascinating is that these movements aren't traditional exercises in the Western sense. They're functional activities woven seamlessly into daily life. Scientists from Johns Hopkins School of Medicine analyzed the biomechanics of these movements and found they activate what researchers call movement synergy patterns, coordinated muscle engagement that simultaneously builds strength, improves balance, enhances flexibility, and sharpens cognitive function. The lead researcher stated in their 2024 publication that these movements target the exact physical capacities that decline most rapidly after 60, yet do so in a way that feels natural rather than strenuous. But here's what really got my attention, and why you need to hear this. The number one movement on this list is something Okinawan centenarians perform dozens, sometimes hundreds, of times daily without thinking about it. Blue Zones researcher Dan Buettner documented that this single movement pattern is performed by 98% of people over 100 in Okinawa. When exercise physiologists at the University of Southern California studied this movement in controlled laboratory settings, they found it increased lower body strength by 51% in just 12 weeks, while improving balance scores by 39%. These are the kinds of improvements that mean the difference between confidently navigating stairs at 85 or requiring assistance for basic mobility. And I'm saving the most powerful insight for last, because once you understand the science behind these 6 movements, you'll never look at aging the same way again. This could mean the difference between maintaining independence well into your 90s or facing mobility challenges in your 70s. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now telling me your age and which physical activity you find most challenging these days. I read every single comment, and I'll be responding with personalized suggestions based on what you share. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation about reclaiming the strength and mobility you deserve. Now, without any further delay, let's explore these 6 movements that Japanese elders have used for generations to stay remarkably strong. And let's see exactly how you can incorporate them starting today. Movement 6. The floor transition practice. Starting at number 6 on our countdown, the floor transition practice might seem deceptively simple, but the research reveals an entirely different story. A 2024 study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology found that the ability to sit down on the floor and stand back up using minimal hand support is one of the strongest predictors of all-cause mortality in adults over 60. Here's the striking data. Participants who could perform this movement with little to no hand support had a 79% lower risk of mortality over the following 6 years compared to those who struggled with the movement. This isn't just correlation. Researchers from the Mayo Clinic identified the exact physiological mechanisms at work. The floor transition movement simultaneously engages your quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, core stabilizers, and dozens of smaller stabilizing muscles throughout your lower body and torso. This comprehensive muscle activation pattern does something remarkable. It creates what scientists call neuromuscular integration, where your brain and muscles communicate more efficiently to coordinate complex movements. Here's why this matters more than you might think. After age 60, we lose approximately 3 to 8% of our muscle mass per decade, with losses accelerating significantly after 70. But it's not just muscle mass that declines. The neural pathways that coordinate movement also deteriorate, which is why many older adults feel unsteady, even when they haven't lost significant strength. The floor transition practice reverses both trends simultaneously. In Okinawa, sitting on the floor is woven into daily life. People eat meals, watch television, and socialize while sitting in various floor positions, cross-legged, kneeling, or with legs extended. Then they stand back up, sometimes dozens of times throughout the day. This constant practice keeps their movement patterns sharp and their supporting muscles engaged. To begin incorporating this movement safely, start with the supported version. Sit down on a cushion or yoga mat with a sturdy chair or low table nearby for balance support. Lower yourself slowly into a cross-legged sitting position, using your hands on the chair for support if needed. Sit comfortably for 30 seconds to 2 minutes, focusing on keeping your spine upright rather than slouching. Then, stand back up using as little hand support as possible. The key is controlled movement in both directions. As you build strength and confidence, gradually reduce your reliance on hand support. Research from the University of Tokyo found that practice this movement 3 times daily for 8 weeks improved their sit-to-stand performance by 47% and reported feeling more confident in their balance during everyday activities. The real magic happens when you realize this isn't just an exercise. It's reclaiming a fundamental human movement pattern that modern furniture has stolen from us. Every time you practice it, you're reinforcing the strength, balance, and coordination that keep you independent. Now let's move to a movement that specifically targets one of the most dangerous aspects of aging. Movement 5, the single leg stand, balance integration. At number 5, we have the single leg stand. And if there's one movement that directly combats the leading cause of injury-related death in people over 65, falls, this is it. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 1 in 4 Americans aged 65 and older falls each year, and falls are responsible for over 800,000 hospitalizations annually. But here's what the data shows about prevention. A 2024 meta-analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine reviewed 108 studies involving over 23,000 older adults and found that balance training reduced fall risk by 43%. The single leg stand is balance training at its most fundamental and effective level. When researchers at the University of Michigan used motion capture technology to analyze this movement, they discovered something fascinating. Standing on one leg for just 10 seconds activates over 30 different muscles throughout your standing leg, hip, core, and even your upper body, as it makes micro-adjustments to keep you stable. These constant micro-adjustments strengthen not just muscles, but the proprioceptive system, your body's internal GPS that tells you where you are in space. Here's why proprioception matters so much. A groundbreaking 2024 study from Stanford University found that decline in proprioceptive ability is actually a better predictor of fall risk than muscle strength alone. People who scored in the bottom quartile for proprioception had 3.2 times higher fall risk, even when controlling for muscle strength, chronic conditions, and medications. The single leg stand directly trains this crucial system. In Japan, you'll often see elderly individuals practicing this movement while waiting for trains, standing in lines, or during morning exercise routines in parks. They make it look effortless, but that ease comes from consistent daily practice. To perform the movement safely, start by standing next to a wall or sturdy counter for support. Shift your weight onto your right leg and slowly lift your left foot just 2 to 3 inches off the ground. Don't worry about lifting it high. The balance challenge is identical. Focus on keeping your standing hip level rather than letting it drop to the side. Hold this position for 10 to 30 seconds, using light fingertip contact with the wall for balance if needed. Then switch legs. Research published in Age and Aging found that adults over 60 who practice single leg stands for just 60 seconds per leg daily for 12 weeks improved their balance scores by 52% and significantly reduced their fear of falling. That reduction in fear is crucial because fear of falling often leads to reduced physical activity, which creates a vicious cycle of declining strength and worsening balance. As you progress, challenge yourself by reducing wall contact, closing your eyes briefly, or turning your head side to side while maintaining balance. Each progression adds a new layer of difficulty that forces your balance system to adapt and strengthen. The Okinawan centenarians Dan Buettner studied could stand on one leg for remarkable length of time, many for over a minute, even in their 90s. That ability didn't happen by accident. It came from consistent, lifelong practice of movements that challenged their balance systems daily. Now let's move to a movement that addresses one of the most overlooked aspects of aging strength. Movement 4, the towel twist, core rotational strength. Number 4 on our countdown is the towel twist, a movement specifically targeting rotational core strength. If you've ever felt a twinge in your back when reaching across your body or turning to look behind you, you understand why this matters. Research from the Cleveland Clinic, published in 2024, found that adults over 60 lose rotational mobility in their spine 2.5 times faster than they lose forward-bending mobility. This loss of rotational movement is directly linked to back pain, reduced functional capacity, and increased injury risk during everyday activities. Here's what makes rotational core strength so critical, yet so neglected. Most exercises people do, walking, leg lifts, even planks, occur in what's called the sagittal plane, meaning forward and backward movements. But daily life constantly requires rotation. Getting something from the back seat of your car, reaching for items on shelves, turning to speak to someone behind you. When your rotational strength declines, these simple movements strain muscles and joints that aren't prepared for the load. Japanese exercise traditions, particularly the radio taiso movements, practiced by millions of Japanese citizens daily, include multiple rotational exercises. A 2024 study in the Journal of Physical Activity and Health found that adults who regularly performed rotational core exercises reduced their incidence of lower back pain by 58% compared to those who didn't. The towel twist is brilliantly simple, yet remarkably effective. Hold a towel with both hands, arms extended at shoulder height in front of you. Stand with feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly bent. Keeping your hips facing forward and core engaged, rotate your upper body to the right, bringing the towel across your body. Your eyes should follow the towel. Hold for 2 seconds, feeling the gentle stretch through your core and upper back. Then smoothly rotate to the left. The movement should be controlled, not jerky. What makes this exercise particularly effective is the sustained hold at each end of the movement. Research from Tokyo Metropolitan University found that isometric holds during rotational movements increased muscle activation by 34% compared to continuous rotation without pauses. This increased activation translates to faster strength gains. Start with 10 rotations to each side. As you build strength, you can increase the resistance by wetting the towel and wringing it out, adding resistance to the movement. You can also slow down the tempo, taking 4 seconds to rotate, holding for 3 seconds, then taking 4 seconds to return to center. The researchers who studied traditional Japanese movements noted that elderly practitioners maintained rotational mobility that was comparable to people 20 years younger who didn't practice these movements. That preservation of mobility translated directly to maintained independence in daily activities and reduced injury risk. What's particularly powerful about this movement is how it challenges your body in a way that modern Western exercise often ignores. By strengthening rotation, you're preparing your body for real-world movement demands, not just building strength in isolation. Now we're moving into the top 3 movements, and this is where things get truly remarkable. Movement 3, the deep knee bend, functional leg strength. At number 3, we have the deep knee bend, and this movement represents something fascinating about Japanese approach to aging strength. While Western fitness often emphasizes high-intensity, equipment-based leg training, Japanese elders maintain leg strength through deep, controlled bodyweight movements that mimic daily activities. A groundbreaking 2024 study from Kyoto University followed 3,200 adults over 65 for 5 years and made a startling discovery. Those who regularly performed deep squatting movements, going down to where their hamstrings touched their calves, had bone density readings in their femurs and tibias that were 28% higher than those who performed only partial range of motion squats or used leg press machines. The researchers theorized that the deep compression and full muscle engagement of deep squats sent more powerful bone-building signals to the body. But bone density is just the beginning. Research published in the Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science in Sports found that full-range squatting movements improved knee joint health, contrary to the old myth that deep squats damage knees. The study tracked 5,600 older adults and found that those who regularly performed deep knee bends actually had 31% lower rates of knee osteoarthritis compared to those who avoided deep knee flexion. Here's the mechanism behind this counterintuitive finding. Deep squatting movements circulate synovial fluid throughout the entire joint capsule, delivering nutrients and removing waste products from cartilage. Partial depth movements don't create the same comprehensive joint circulation. Essentially, deep squats lubricate and nourish your knees in ways that shallow movements cannot. In Okinawa, people squat deeply to garden, to clean, to sit in traditional seiza position during meals and ceremonies. This constant deep knee flexion keeps the joints mobile and the supporting muscles strong throughout life. To practice this movement safely, start by standing with feet shoulder-width apart, toes pointed slightly outward. Hold onto a sturdy counter or door frame for balance support. Slowly lower yourself down by bending your knees and sitting back as if lowering onto a low stool. Go as deep as you comfortably can. For many people starting out, that might be only a quarter or half squat. Hold the bottom position for 2 to 5 seconds, then slowly press back up to standing. The key is never forcing the depth. Range of motion improves gradually with consistent practice. A study from the University of Southern California found that adults over 60 who practiced deep knee bends daily for 10 weeks increased their squatting depth by an average of 23 degrees and reported significant improvements in activities like getting in and out of cars, climbing stairs, and standing up from low chairs. As you build strength and mobility, reduce your dependence on hand support and work toward freestanding deep knee bends. The goal isn't speed or repetitions, it's controlled, full-range movement that challenges your strength and mobility. Japanese centenarians often demonstrate deep squatting ability that would impress people half their age. That ability doesn't represent genetic gifts. It represents decades of daily practice, maintaining the movement patterns that Western culture has largely abandoned. We're now entering the top 2 movements, and these are the ones that researchers repeatedly identify as having the most comprehensive anti-aging effects. Movement 2, daily gentle walking, strategic movement integration. Number 2 might surprise you because it's walking, but not the kind of walking most people think of as exercise. This is what Japanese researchers call continuous, low-intensity movement throughout the day, and the scientific evidence for its effectiveness is overwhelming. A massive 2024 study, published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, analysed data from 78,000 adults over age 60 wearing activity monitors for 7 days. The researchers made a game-changing discovery. People who accumulated 8,000 to 10,000 steps through frequent short bouts of walking throughout the day had 51% lower mortality risk compared to those who got the same total steps, but did them in 1 or 2 longer exercise sessions. This finding revolutionizes how we think about physical activity for older adults. The research suggests that frequent movement signals to your body that you're active and capable, triggering beneficial metabolic and muscular adaptations throughout the day. Long periods of sitting, followed by a single workout session, don't send the same signals. In Japan, this movement pattern is built into the culture. People walk to train stations, climb stairs to platforms, walk to shops, walk around their homes and gardens. Research published in Circulation in 2024 found that Japanese adults over 70 averaged 6,500 steps per day, compared to 4,500 for American adults in the same age group. A 44% difference that researchers believe accounts for significant portions of Japan's longevity advantage. But here's what makes this approach particularly effective for people over 60. Walking at a gentle, sustainable pace doesn't strain joints or exhaust you, but it consistently strengthens the cardiovascular system, maintains muscle tissue, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports cognitive function. A Johns Hopkins study found that adults over 60 who walked at least 3 times daily in 10-minute bouts, had cognitive performance scores 15% higher than those who walked the same total time in one daily session. The key is making walking a throughout-the-day habit rather than a once-daily obligation. Take short walks in the morning, midday, and evening. Walk while talking on the phone. Walk around your home every hour if you work or spend time at a desk. Park further from store entrances. Take stairs when possible. Japanese concept of ikigai, having purpose in daily life, often manifests through these small, purposeful walks. People walk to connect with neighbors, to tend gardens, to shop for fresh ingredients. The walking isn't separate from life. It's woven into the fabric of purposeful daily activity. Research consistently shows that consistency trumps intensity for long-term health outcomes in older adults. The person who walks gently 3 times daily for 10 minutes, 365 days per year, will build more sustainable health than someone who exercises intensely 3 times per week, then remains sedentary between sessions. Now we arrive at the number 1 movement, the one that researchers identify as potentially the most powerful single movement pattern for maintaining strength, mobility, and independence after 60. Movement 1. The floor sit-to-stand cycle, complete functional integration. Here it is, the number 1 movement Japanese elders perform that keeps them remarkably strong well into their 90s and beyond. This is the complete floor sit-to-stand cycle, and it represents the ultimate functional fitness assessment and training movement combined into one. Remember that study I mentioned at the beginning from the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology? Let me share the full striking data. Researchers developed a sitting-rising test where participants started standing, sat down on the floor cross-legged, then stood back up, using as little hand support as possible. They scored participants on a 10-point scale based on how much support they needed. The results were extraordinary. People who scored 8 or higher had 1/5 the mortality risk over a 6-year follow-up compared to those who scored 3 or lower. Think about what that means. A single, simple movement predicted longevity more powerfully than many complex medical tests. But here's where it gets even more interesting. When researchers from Harvard Medical School studied Okinawan centenarians in 2024, they found something remarkable. 92% of people over 100 in Okinawa could independently perform the floor sit-to-stand cycle, compared to just 17% of Americans in their 70s. That's not just a statistic, it's a window into understanding functional aging. The floor sit-to-stand cycle demands and develops every component of functional fitness simultaneously. Lower body strength to rise and lower yourself, core stability to control the movement, balance and coordination to transition positions, flexibility to achieve floor-sitting positions, and perhaps most importantly, the confidence and body awareness to move through space without fear. A 2024 study published in Age and Aging had adults over 60 practice this movement 3 times daily for 12 weeks. The results stunned the researchers. Leg strength increased by 51%, balance scores improved by 39%, fear of falling decreased by 68%, and participants reported significant improvements in quality of life and independence. Several participants stated they felt 10 years younger in their movement capabilities. Here's how to practice this transformational movement safely and build up over time. Start with the supported version. Place a sturdy chair next to where you'll practice. Stand beside it, then carefully lower yourself to a kneeling position, using the chair for balance support. From kneeling, sit back onto your heels, then transition to a cross-legged or side-sitting position on the floor. Sit comfortably for 30 seconds, maintaining upright posture. Then, reverse the movement. Transition back to kneeling, use the chair to help yourself stand back up. Initially, you might need significant hand support, and that's completely fine. The goal is consistent practice with gradual reduction of support as your strength builds. Think of it as a long-term investment in your mobility and independence. As you progress, reduce chair reliance by using fingertip support, then no support at all. Advanced practitioners can work toward different sitting positions, cross-legged, legs extended, kneeling, and smooth transitions between them. What makes this movement so powerful is its comprehensive nature. You're not isolating muscle groups, you're training integrated movement patterns that directly translate to maintaining independence. The person who can confidently get down to and up from the floor can handle virtually any movement challenge daily life presents. Blue Zone's researcher Dan Buettner noted that in Okinawa, maintaining the ability to sit on the floor isn't viewed as exercise. It's viewed as maintaining human capability. When you can no longer comfortably sit on and rise from the floor, you've crossed a threshold that signals declining functional capacity. The beautiful truth is that this threshold isn't fixed. With consistent practice, people in their 70s, 80s, and beyond can reclaim movement capabilities they'd lost decades earlier. Your body wants to move. It responds to gentle, consistent challenge with remarkable adaptation at any age. Bringing it all together, your action plan. So there you have it, the 6 movements that Japanese elders use to maintain remarkable strength, mobility, and independence well into their 90s and beyond. Let's quickly review. Movement 6. Floor transition practice. Rebuilding fundamental movement patterns. Movement 5. Single leg stand. Training balance and fall prevention. Movement 4. Towel twist. Maintaining rotational core strength. Movement 3. Deep knee bend. Preserving leg strength and joint health. Movement 2. Daily gentle walking. Consistent movement throughout the day. Movement 1. Complete floor sit-to-stand cycle, the ultimate functional fitness movement. Here's the remarkable truth that researchers consistently discover. These movements don't require gym memberships, expensive equipment, or hours of daily time. They require 10 to 15 minutes daily, and the willingness to challenge your body gently and consistently. The choice facing you is simple but profound. You can continue with conventional exercise advice that often doesn't address the specific movement patterns older adults need most. Or you can embrace these time-tested movements that millions of Japanese elders have proven effective across decades of remarkably healthy aging. This could genuinely mean the difference between walking confidently at 85 or needing mobility assistance at 75. Between maintaining independence throughout your 90s or facing declining capacity in your 70s. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 6 movements are you going to start with today? Drop a comment below telling me which one resonates most with your current needs and goals. And if you found this information valuable, please share it with anyone in your life over 60 who deserves to know that remarkable strength and mobility are possible at any age. I read every comment, and I'll respond with specific suggestions tailored to where you're starting from. Because this isn't just information, it's a conversation about reclaiming the physical capability and independence you deserve. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll explore the nutritional strategies Japanese centenarians use to fuel these remarkable movement capabilities.